Welcome to Cooperative Spotlight, airing here on the Government Information Service. It is a production of the Department of Cooperatives, and the guest with me for this special program is Mr. Anthony Stroude. He's a field officer at the Grenada Cooperative League, and Mr. Claude Emmons. He is a field officer as well, but with the Department of Cooperatives, and I am Shere-Ann Noel. The purpose of this program is to enlighten you and educate you on the cooperatives, what you would have to do if you'd like to form a cooperative, giving you background as to its history and everything that you need to know. So whenever you hear the word cooperative, you'd be able to make certain differentiations, and you'd be able to, just be in the know as to what cooperatives is all about. So to begin, I would like to first invite Mr. Emmons, who is from the Department of Cooperatives, just to give us a background. And so we hear Department of Cooperatives, we hear Cooperative League. So from your department, tell us what does the word cooperative mean? What is it you all do, and who do you impact?
Yes. So at the Department of Cooperative, well, first of all, the Department of Cooperative was set up to really to guide the cooperative movement in Grenada, right? So what we do at the department is that we supervise, we inspect, monitor, and we register cooperatives, as well as provide technical assistance in areas of training and so on, to ensure that cooperatives develop to the next level.
Okay. So you said that is what you do from a departmental level. So I want to jump over to Mr. Stroude now. You're from the Grenada Cooperative League.
That's right.
The linkage between the Department of Cooperatives and the Cooperative League. Explain that to us, and just give us a background as to its importance in all of this.
Right. The Grenada Cooperative League is the apex body, what we will call an umbrella body for all cooperatives. There are basically two sections of cooperatives in Grenada. You have the financial cooperatives, and you have the non-financial cooperatives, which is broken down into the service, the agriculture, the fishing industry, and so on. Several aspects of the business. And the Grenada Cooperative League is the apex body for all cooperatives. We provide representation to all cooperatives, whether affiliated or not. We have 10 credit unions, which is the financial cooperatives registered, which is affiliates to us, and 2 non-financial cooperatives that are affiliated to the league. Our role as the apex body is to provide, as I said, representation mainly, and also developmental of all cooperatives, training, guidance, assistance in policies, name it. As compared to the Department of Cooperative, their primary function is regulatory. Okay. So they are the ones with the teeth that can bite. But we are the ones that, put it that way, we are the lawyers to the cooperatives, and they are the judges.
Okay. So we mentioned you have departments, you said you're the apex body, and so, but exactly what is a cooperative? So for someone who is listening and they're hearing about financial, non-financial, then Mr. Emmons saying they would regulate, but what exactly are you regulating? What exactly is a cooperative?
Yes, well, the classic definition of a cooperative is an independent business entity who is democratically owned and controlled by its members for their mutual benefit. So, as you have other forms of businesses, you have sole traders, you have partnerships. It's just a group of persons coming together really to do business as one unit, right? So basically that's what a cooperative is. Yeah.
And that particular department has been in operations how long?
Yes, well, the Department of Cooperative was established in 1957.
Wow.
Yes, so 1957, and it started registering cooperatives as early as January 1958. So it's been a while.
So, in terms of the league now, how does it work? The department first, the league after? Okay, I want to form a group of us.
Right.
Would like to form a cooperative. What are the steps?
Okay. So in terms of formation, we work in conjunction with the league. Because the league, as Mr. Stroude says, provide technical assistance in terms of training and so on. So if someone wants to form a cooperative, first of all, as the law says now, to be legal, you have to have at least 10 persons.
Okay.
Right? So once you have the amount of persons coming together with one common goal, you would contact the department or the league. All right. We would then set up a meeting with you where we come in and we do a pitch introducing cooperatives to you. We would tell you what are the benefits, what are the challenges, what are the principles of cooperative and cooperative philosophy. And then if you then decide that you want to continue, right, and you think that this model would work good for you, then we would continue the process. You would have to develop things like bylaws and different policies, right? And that's where the league comes in. So they would come in and they would guide, right, in conjunction with the department. They would guide you in developing those policies and so on. Mr. Stroude, I don't know if you want to take it from there.
Well, yes, I could jump in here in that. You see, cooperative is more than just a group of persons coming together, sharing the same common interests. Okay. But you share the common interests, but it's a business model. So you want to enter into that business model because there are clubs. Clubs share common interests and they come together and they form a club, football, basketball, netball, and they play netball, they play whatever they form. So cooperative is a business model. So that group of individuals that will come together, when they form, they would have that idea, they would have a concept that they want to do business. And they would have an idea of what business they want to do, whether it's sole trade, whether it's services, whatever, agriculture, agro-processing. And then we will come in now, they will contact the Department of Cooperative or they will contact the league saying that we have an interest group that wish to form a cooperative. We will meet with them and find out what it is the common interest and see how it fits into the cooperative model. Okay. Maybe guide them of certain things that they may be thinking about that may not fit well within the cooperative model, but maybe change it a little bit to fit within the model. And once they decide to go along that route, then the aspect of introducing the model, educating them on what the model is all about, the structure, the democratic process, and so on. And then we will enter into helping them with the bylaws. Before you even get to the bylaws, you have to put them into a structure of interim board, an interim group, a management group that will take care of all these aspects. And these are some of the basic steps. And then the Department of Cooperative, now once all that is satisfied, they are the ones who will do the registering. The league cannot register. Okay. They are the ones that give the authority and say, yes, we register you. You meet the criteria and we register you to be a legal entity, a legal business model.
I can't recall which of you mentioned it, but you mentioned something about philosophy of, what is that it?
Philosophy.
Yeah.
So, what is the philosophy of cooperatives?
The basic fundamental or philosophies of cooperativism is people helping people. Right? People helping people. Members are the owners of a cooperative. As I said, one of the critical motto of cooperativism is not for profit, but for service. Okay. Right? But you don't do business without thinking about realizing a profit. But what happens to that profit, or we don't refer to it as profit in the cooperative sector, refer to it as surpluses. Okay. And what do you do with that surplus? It goes right back to the membership. So you don't go away from the membership. It goes back into different services for the members.
Okay, so we've taken care of the philosophy, the background on the cooperatives and so, but field officer. When you say you're a field officer, you say your department, and what are the functions of a field officer, and how effective is that particular function?
Okay, so well, you know, the department set goals and they set goals and that they want to attain.
Okay.
But the field officer is the person on the ground really that has to implement the goals that the organization sets. So we would do visits, go to the different cooperatives, make sure that they're in compliance with the act and the regulations.
Okay.
All right. We would also ensure that they're conducting business in a prudent manner, right? And that they following good guidelines. They're practicing good financial practices. You know, they're doing their monthly reporting and stuff like that. So the field officer is the person really on the ground, right, to implement whatever the goal is of the organization.
And Mr. Stroude would have mentioned financial and non-financial cooperatives and so. Right, so taking that into consideration, tell us about the human resource now, because you said you have to ensure that this is implemented and that is implemented. How is it done on a district level? I say district, but you know, you have the eastern, you have the western,
right.
You have a number of cooperatives, you have the agro-processing ones. How does it work in terms of the field officers ensuring that whatever has to be implemented is implemented and that you're sticking within the rules and regulations?
Right. So how it's done is that cooperatives are assigned to field officers, not based on any geographical location.
Okay.
Right. So you the registrar, who is the person in charge of the department, would assign field officers to different cooperatives.
Right.
Yes, sir. So you would have your cooperatives that you work with, and over the time you really usually develop a really good working relationship with these cooperatives. So that's how it's done, and you go on, you do whatever you have to do with them on a monthly basis.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah, I would like to jump in here. I did mention about financial and non-financial, but the Department of Cooperative rules and responsibilities only for the non-financial cooperatives, right? We advise them on the financial, they advise and guide them in the financial operations, right? Make sure that they are prudent spenders, they are so on.
There are some of the non-financial cooperatives that you work
But before I go to who are the non-financial, the financial cooperatives are the credit unions.
Okay, like
as I mentioned, who is affiliated, right?
Yes.
And they are regulated under GAFIN.
Okay.
Right, so the department are not responsible for the financial. There are two cooperatives that are affiliated to the league, right? They are also responsible for these two cooperatives, non-financial cooperatives, but not the credit unions.
Okay.
Right? You ask me.
Who are some of the non-financial?
Well, there are some success non-financial cooperatives like the 𝐂𝐸𝐸 gas station that you see on Morris Bishop Highway.
Oh yes, I saw something to that effect in truth.
Right, it's one of our biggest success story in the non-financial cooperative sector.
Wow.
You know, recently they have launched a $30 million project.
Supermarkets and whatnot in St. Andrew.
Right. They have also the Sobeys Fishermen Cooperatives that is located in Grenville, Victoria Street, St. Andrews, and they are also a very viable and functional cooperatives that are doing very good business.
And one might ask, because you know us, we like to ask questions. You say non-financial, and you mentioned 𝐂𝐸𝐸 and you mentioned fishermen. What classifies you to be non-financial?
What classifies you is your primary business function. The business of the credit union is to deal with money, lending, borrowing, saving, investment. The business of the non-financial is the service or whatever they offer. If it's products and service. If it's service, the fishermen cooperatives would offer services to the fishermen. The gas station offers service of providing fluid and other things that goes with with gas and vehicles and so on. And that's what makes the difference.
Viewers, you are watching the Cooperative Spotlight program here on the Government Information Service. We take a quick break. When we return, we learn some more.
Let's get tough on breed-your larceny. It will destroy our economy. Larceny threatens our food security. Can hurt us locally, hurt us globally. To all the buyers, ask for license from all produce sellers. To all the people, 300 for police for them thieving fellas. To all the farmers, please don't steal produce from your brother. Then you're selling to traffickers, hotels and street vendors. Nah, man. Let's do all we can to stop breed-your larceny. New vigilance, new laws, and a tough judiciary. Stop Grenada's organized business crime. It's time.
To report breed-your larceny, call 300.
Welcome back. In case you've just tuned in, you're reviewing the Cooperative Spotlight, a program on the Government Information Service. I have with me to share all the information Mr. Anthony Stroude. He is a field officer at the Grenada Cooperative League, and Mr. Claude Emmons of the Department of Cooperatives. He is also a field officer. Prior to the break, we spoke a lot to what is a cooperative. We spoke to non-financial, financial and non-financial. How do you form the cooperatives? You know, who is involved and stuff to that effect. But now I want us to speak a bit to the objectives in terms of monitoring, really to go deep to ensure that the monitoring is done, and guidance. If you could just speak a little more to that, to ensure that, you know, you really meet, as you say, the set goals.
Okay, so well, monitoring really involves it could be both on-site and off-site, right?
Okay.
So from a departmental level, we usually use like the telephone and emails and stuff, right? So do off-site monitoring, and whatever we do, it must conform to the Cooperative Societies Act number 8 of 2011. Okay. So that is our guide,
and
right?
What does that say, if you know it off your head?
All right.
It says a lot.
It says a lot.
Okay.
All right. So the Cooperative Societies Act number 8 of 2011 covers all cooperatives in Grenada, including both the financial and non-financial. So it covers all the areas. It's quite a lot.
Okay.
A big document, right? But that is what we use to monitor, right? So we would go to the cooperatives and make sure that they comply. For example, it says that you have to have your business name prominently on the front of your building and so, right? That's one of the things that we look for. You must have your registered office. You have to have your certificate of registration prominently, you know, placed in some way that persons can see it. All of those things, you have to make sure that you know, doing good record keeping. You have to make sure that your financials are done and that you're reporting on a monthly basis. Things like that, you know, you're doing your bank reconciliation, you have your cash book in order, and stuff like that. Yes.
So what happens with non-compliant cooperatives?
All right. Well, in Grenada, most cooperatives has, you know, some more than others, some level of non-compliance. So we have to, in some areas, we will have to be a little bit lenient, and we have to offer assistance and training, you know, and, you know, try to get them to a state of compliance. But if you are consistently non-compliant, then there are steps that the Act, you know, say that you can take. One of them is deregistering the cooperative or dissolving the cooperative.
So they become non-void.
Non-void, yes. Yes.
If I should jump in here, you mentioned about that. So, in terms of the league aspect to that, now, they could do that. The Department of Cooperative could deregister. The league cannot deregister.
Okay.
So the league role, as I said earlier on, is development and sustainability of the cooperative. So we would go, visit, monitor, make sure that the law, the act is being fulfilled. The act is categorized in several categories. In terms of governance, it speaks to governance, who should be on the board of directors, who should be where, and so on. So we would ensure that the cooperatives are following good governance. Operational, in terms of management, how they invest. The acts give you guidelines at how you could invest, where you could invest, when you could, not so much when, but where and how you could invest in. So we would ensure that the cooperatives are following these guidelines, these mandate in relation to the act, so that they wouldn't reach to the point where the department would have to deregister them. We work in collaboration. For instance, let me just share this. The league, we would have done a needs assessment of a couple cooperatives, right, recently. And in doing this needs assessment, we would identify what are the critical areas of needs that the cooperative needs. Training, what kind of training? So if we realize that the governance structure is weak, we will organize a training that will speak directly to governance structure, so that will be strengthened and be so. If we realize financial management is an issue in some of that cooperatives, we would organize training that can help them beef up that financial management aspect of it.
Okay. So I know we're quickly running out of time, but someone who's hearing, I know we have some brilliant young minds now. Will you still encourage people who have interest to form themselves into cooperatives? Or would you direct them based on what it is they would like to do to join?
Well, if you ask me, I'll take the shot for a shot at that. If you ask me, I believe the cooperative business model is the best and most successful business model.
Okay.
I believe it's one of the oldest business model as well, right? And it's one of the most successful one. So I would encourage any group or any interest persons that they should, once you're thinking about coming together with other individuals, bringing in people with like-minded thinking and what you want to do, I would advise you that I believe the best business model to choose is the cooperative model. There are quite a number of benefits that comes with it, both locally in terms of law, legally provided in the law of Grenada, and there are certain attraction on the international market that cooperative attracts. There are entities, financial entities, donor entities who prefer deal with cooperatives rather than deal with individuals or sole traders or associations and so on.
All right. So before Mr. Emmons comments, so now that you've given that brilliant bit of advice, just reiterate for them, how do they go about doing that, forming themselves?
Yes. So as I said again, once they have a common interest, some of the requirements is that you have to have 10 persons. It's one of the main requirements, really. All right, to be legal, you must have 10 persons to form a cooperative. Once you have those 10 persons, you would contact the department or the league so that we can come in and introduce the cooperative principles and so to you, make sure that you're comfortable with that particular model. Then you would go about doing your business plan, right? Once you do your interim board, you do your business plan, and the bylaws. You must have bylaws, and your bylaws basically is just the constitution that governs your cooperative, right? And once you develop all those, then you have to send in 3 copies of the bylaws together with your business plan, and any other guidelines that you have. and send it into the department to be registered. The registration fee at present is $125. Right. So once you pay that at the registry, you send in your receipt, and then the registrar would look at it, and once she's satisfied, then she go out and register the cooperative.
All right. So,
Yeah.
and as you said, they're doing that within the Ministry of Agriculture.
At present, yes.
Right. So if you want further information, you can call 440-2708.
Correct.
Okay.
All right.
So as we wrap, I'll just ask both of you any final comments you all would like to share as it relates to cooperatives that you think the general public need to know.
Well, as I said earlier on, it's one of the most successful business model, oldest business model. I mentioned some success stories. The credit union is our greatest business model success story. You realize that the credit union, duplicating membership in the credit union sector, we have over 70, 80,000 members duplicating membership, but we are peddling $1 billion in assets now, right? I can tell you for the functional cooperatives, non-financial cooperatives now, I know that by way they are peddling over $6 million, $7 million in assets, right? And that only comes from, well, there are several cooperatives that are registered, but there are a few that are functional, right? And the functional ones are just about 10, Simons. And you're talking about, out of that 10, we have about 4 or 5 that are audited on an annual basis. So using audited figures, it looking about $7+ million in assets. So there is success story. So I would encourage all other little business entities, the small business men and women, the barbers. I had a conversation with someone in the media, and I think the media is a good entity that can consider forming a cooperative. Media workers or journalists. Mm-hmm. The media is poised to, I think the structure of the media, you should be able to get a real functional, viable cooperative coming out of the
For
media.
membership?
Well, cooperative is all about membership.
I mean, within the media fraternity, or you could go outside.
Well, you can extend your bylaws to incorporate. It's how you structure your bylaws.
Okay.
But the general gist of the business, if it will be media oriented, I think there is a room. There's a lot of media personnel around in different aspects of media. You can incorporate all of them: the journalists, the cameramen, the podcasters, and so on. I think you should consider that.
Okay, I will bring that forward. Okay. Any final words from you, Mr. Emmons?
Yes. Well, once you decide to go into business, I think you should give the cooperative model some consideration, right? Once you have no problem working with others or working in a group, I think cooperative is a good way to go. It's regulated, so you don't have to worry about losing your money and so on like that. I think it's a good model, and maybe you should give it a try. Give it some thought, right?
Thank you very much, viewers. You're viewing the Cooperative Spotlight production here on the Government Information Service. It's a production, I should say, of the Department of Cooperatives. We have with us as guests Mr. Anthony Stroude, the Field Officer, the Grenada Cooperative League, and also Mr. Claude Emmons from the Department of Cooperatives. He too is also a Field Officer. They shared very pertinent information with you as it relates to cooperatives. I hope that you're more educated now as to what the cooperative is all about and why is it important that it's one of the safer ways to do business, to save. I would go a little further to say. So, just check it out and be a part of cooperatives today. If you have a group of at least 10, as they said, and you have an ambition, 440-2708 is the number to call, and take the liberty to tell you to ask Mr. Emmons so that he would guide you all through. So until next time, I am Shere-Ann Noel. Thanking you so much for viewing.